Hi everybody, I'm Peter Nowlan. I own a business called New Edge Sharpening. I'm in Halifax in Nova Scotia, Canada. And the purpose of this video is to accompany an article that KnifePlanet and I are putting out together, and it's designed to be like a sharpening school type of thing. I want you to think of today's lesson and as building a foundation, a sharpening foundation. And this foundation is supported by 5 pillars. Okay, think of this water stone as your foundation, okay, with a pillar on each corner and one in the middle. Okay, we've got passion, practice, patience, and persistence, okay, on each corner, and in the middle you have the one pillar that supports everything, and the most important one, and it's technique. Okay, I promise you that if you concentrate on building and establishing and developing your technique, all the other, and you keep the other pillars in mind, over time you will elevate your abilities to a level that you didn't think possible. And how do we strengthen that? Well, how do we do that? We do it by practicing. So let's get to it. One of the things a lot of people worry about when they're sharpening is angle. What angle to sharpen your knife at? I'm going to make this real simple because it is simple. We're going to assume that you're going to start your sharpening journey on an average knife like most people use, and I can tell you right now that almost every average knife is sharpened between 15 and 20 degrees. So this is your angle right here. I don't know if that's 19, 18, or 20 degrees. I know that this angle works for this particular knife. So as long as you're in this range, you're going to be good. It's not, don't worry to sweat the angle. What you need to worry about, what I want you to concentrate on, is as you sharpen your knife, is to maintain that angle. When you start here and when you finish, when you're working up here, it's the same angle. And on both sides. Remember folks, consistency is going to lead to knives beyond your wildest dreams. And we develop consistency. One of the things we do is think about time. So we spend the same amount of time on one side as we do on the other. We want to for 50-50 bevels, for double bevel knives, we want to equalize our time spent on each side of the knife. I'm going to tell you right now, I have sharpened 20,000 knives at this particular angle, and not one individual has ever said to me, "Geez, Peter, I thought I asked you to sharpen this at 18. Looks like you've sharpened at 19. Here's something that can help you. The Sharpie. I know you've all heard of the Sharpie trick. So, how does it work? We take a Sharpie and we paint the edge of the knife. The edge and the bevel. And this is a guide, a visual guide that will help us maintain target of our target area to get us there. And we can paint above that area too. Don't worry about getting Sharpie on the blade, because that will all come off with some nail polish remover. Okay, easy, comes right off. What's a Sharpie for? It tells if I can hold a knife, my goal is to remove that. Use the abrasive powers of this 1,000 grit Japanese waterstone to remove that Sharpie. And I'm going to do that by holding a knife at the angle I think it's at and drawing it lightly over the stone. Okay? And then I have a look at my edge, and I can see, you might not be able to see it on the camera, but I can see that the mark is removed along the primary edge. So why did I go up further? Well, if I had held an angle at a 2 cute or something like that, and I was removing Sharpie up here, I know that I don't want to sharpen up there. You can repeat this process over and over and over. Paint on, Sharpie on, Sharpie off, as many times as you want. It helps you develop muscle memory. So I start at the bottom of this Japanese waterstone. I stop at the bottom and I start at the tip of the knife at my chosen angle, okay? At my average knife angle. I think that's 20 degrees. It might be 18. I know that it's going to be, whatever it is, going to be the same there as it is there, because I have a strong foundation. So here's what I do. These fingers are here. They're not here along for the ride. They're there to apply pressure to the perimeter of the edge, as close to the edge as possible, not on a stone because it'll make your fingers bleed. And I'm going to Apply pressure as I'm pushing the knife away from me. So, and I always start on the right side of the knife. You develop a pattern. My pattern is to start this way. So, moderate pressure on, moderate pressure off. Moderate pressure on, moderate pressure off. And I mean by moderate pressure, that's about 4 pounds. It's enough so that it's stone, the knife and the stone, and me and the stone working together. Okay? Because this knife is dull, I have to apply some pressure on this 1000 grit, okay, stone to form a burr. And we'll talk about burr in a minute. So, I just do this. Now, there's a lot of things going on here, folks. When you first start doing this, you're going to find the knife maybe difficult to keep on the stone everywhere you go. You're going to find it difficult maybe to move your fingers along. So there's no race. Okay? Stop down the bottom, position your fingers, and get up here. Now, the most important things about angles in sharpening has nothing to do with this angle. It has to do with the angle of your arm as you sharpen. Here I'm at this, you can see I'm at this 45-degree angle because it's just natural to me. It's my elbow's hanging down and I'm just sharpening at this 45-degree angle. Comfort leads to consistency as well. I'm not struggling. I'm not doing anything that's foreign to the way I move. This is just the way, this is easy for me. I could do this for 100 years and it would be comfortable, okay? So that's what this 45-degree angle is all about on this side of the knife, okay? So again, pressure on, pressure off, moderate pressure on, moderate pressure off. And remember, the sharpening is taking place underneath my fingers. And yes, I know you're going to see people who use this sweeping motion to sharpen a knife where they're doing the entire blade. Awesome. Good. I have no problem with that. However, as you're going to learn later on in the video, that doesn't work for me because I tend to modulate pressure quite a bit, and we'll get into that later in future videos. So I find it hard to modulate pressure and apply pressure to this part of the blade when my fingers are up here. And I would find it very hard to thin a knife by doing that. But we'll talk about thinning further down the road as well. So this is just the way I do it. So I do this until I raise a burr. Okay? Pressure on, pressure off. Pressure on, pressure off. 45-degree angle, nice comfortable angle. And okay, so I can now feel a burr. So the burr is, if you picture this, the abrasive powers of this stone are pushing the knife, the steel, the fatigued metal, or just the metal, away down the side of this knife. Oh, picture this as a cliff. You're pushing the steel over the cliff, but it doesn't fall off. It goes up to the other side. Okay, so and that enables us to feel it. We can feel it. There's a presence there of metal, and that's called the burr. That's what you want. It's a mark of sharpening success. You want to form the burr. So, and it's also your signal to switch sides. Now, if for some reason you've done this for 10 minutes and there's no burr formed, you switch sides anyway without forming the burr. Because remember, what you do on one side, you want to do on the other. But remember, the ultimate goal is to form a burr on both sides of the knife once in the sharpening process. So I formed that burr. So now I can switch sides. Now, this 45-degree angle of my arm sort of goes out to lunch when I get up to this side of the knife, because at the heel area, because of the handles in the way. I can't do this because of the handle. So just for this heel area, I position the knife that way I have to get it. Okay, I get my angle, my 20-degree angle, or what if it's 18, like I said, we don't have to go there anymore. I've got my own sharpening angle is in place right now. I'm going to apply pressure right there with this finger and these two fingers, and I'm going to apply pressure as I pull the knife towards me. Moderate pressure, no pressure. Moderate pressure, no pressure. Now that I've done that, now I can go back to that. Now that the handle's out of the way, I can go back to that wonderful 45-degree angle. And remember, my fingers are doing the sharpening. I'm making sure that that tip, the entire tip area, is touching that stone as I bring it down. Pressure, no pressure. Pressure, no pressure. Pressure, no pressure. And I do this until I form the burr another burr, the second and final burr. So I feel for a burr there, it's there. Now, if it hasn't formed there, or if it's only formed in portions, you still have to keep at it, folks. It's critical to form a burr. Okay? Now, I know that some people, you're going to hear in your endeavors to learn everything you can know about knife sharpening, you're going to learn that, yeah, actually you can actually sharpen a knife without forming a burr. Yeah, you can do that, but we're going to worry about that in about 100 years from now. That's how important that actually is. We'll figure that out one later. Don't worry about it. Okay. Right now we're going to form burrs one on each side of the knife. And the key is to form a very subtle burr, the smallest burr you can possibly have. That's it. That's what you want. Okay. Now that I've got a burr on both sides of the knife, I can feel it there. I'm going to. The burr removal process begins. Now it's all about burr removal. Okay? Okay? I've firmed the burr on both sides. Now I'm going to remove it. And I do that by repeating the process. Same angle. Everything's the same. The pattern's the same. But I'm going to reduce my pressure by 50%. Now it's a lot less pressure. I'm like shaving that burr off. Light pressure on, light pressure off. Light pressure on, light pressure off. And I'm moving my fingers down the perimeter of the edge to make that happen. Okay? And now I just move from tip to heel to tip. I don't have to feel for a burr anymore now because it's not going to be there. I'm taking it away. But at the end of the day, you'll see that we will at the very end, but I don't have to worry about it now. So I'm going to flip the knife, light pressure on, light pressure off. Going back to my 45-degree angle and applying light pressure as I pull the knife towards me, making sure that that angle is consistent, and I'm touching the edge to the stone as I work my way back from tip to heel. Now I've done that both sides once. Now one more time, an extremely light pressure, the lightest pressure that I can possibly muster without dropping the knife. That's all there is to it, folks. You're going to make your first knife very sharp. Okay, so I've developed this pattern. I do this all the time. There's no music on, there's no TV in the background, there's nobody asking me to go get them a cup of coffee. There's nothing like that going on. I'm the only one in the world right now. That's the way I always am when I sharpen. Okay, so now I've done that. Here's my final element of this process right here. My goal at the end of this knife sharpening is to have a clean edge, free of any metal fragments. Well, to the visible eye. Under magnification, there may be some little tiny fragments hanging onto the mothership that I can't get rid of, but that's okay. So, there you go. Now that I've done that, I wipe off the knife and I look. What I find to do, I have a good feel there of the knife. I can't feel anything. Now what I'm looking for here is I'm looking under the light, a good source of light for any light reflections. If you do this and you see any glints of light, any reflections, it's bits of metal it's bits of burr that you haven't removed yet, and that's what's reflecting off the light. So if that's the case, go back at it. Very light pressure and just repeat the process, concentrating on the areas where the light was. That's all there is to it. You want to do it until you can look at that blade and you can't see anything. Okay, you can't see any light. And believe me, once you see it, you'll know what I mean. So that's it. That's all there is to this. Don't worry, in future videos we'll get into stropping and using multiple stones and all that cool stuff. For now, you need to go away and practice doing what you've just learned. You need to go and build your sharpening foundation. So you can always test your knife with telephone book paper. Don't use Xerox paper. That's too strong, too heavy. And just test it. If it cuts through this, okay, you know you're on track. You're doing a good job. So again, get yourself to the point where you can you're improving yourself. You need to manage your expectations. You're not going to end up being a master knife sharpener in the first day, for me, maybe 30 years later. I may never get there, but I'm going to have a heck of a time trying and doing it on the way. Okay? So that's all there is to it, folks. Just practice, and there'll be another video up soon with more things, a lot different things, and more added to this. But remember, it all lays on top of this thing. The part right here, this is what you need. The better you get at this, everything else will come into place. It'll all blend together at some point. Okay? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.